make sure the appropriate people go through the right training, make
Mm.
sure that we put the frameworks in place to enable people to be able to manage the benefits and understand what they are and what they're seeking.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Corporate Show with me, Manjit Niji, your host. And on this week's episode, you're going to recognise my guest if you haven't recognised him already, David Smallwood. Now, David is here to go over what managing benefits actually are for organisations. I've got a clue about what it is. I have a rough idea of what it's all about and probably a better understanding than I think. So once David delves into it, then we can get into the crux of what it's actually all about. So first of all, welcome, David. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. And thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So managing benefits, what is it? What does it actually mean?
So with organizations, there is a fundamental problem with, and a lot of your listeners will understand, of people wanting to kick off projects because it's a pet project. But then when they get to the end of the project, it doesn't deliver the value that originally it was supposed to deliver. That has a lot to do with the business cases, but we tend to put magical benefits in projects, like we're going to get this much of a return and we're going to increase staff motivation by this percentage. And there's what we call the top 10 intangible benefits that people put in a business case because they like to throw them in, make the project look much more, have much more value for the organization than it actually does.
Yeah.
At the end of the project, you go back and can we measure this? No, there's no way to really actually measure it. So managing benefits is about having a structure and framework to properly manage the benefits between your projects, your programs, and ultimately the portfolio. So you get the return that you've intended to get.
Okay. There's a lot of information there, so we're going to need to break that down a bit.
Okay.
So what's the first, where would you start initially? Is it part of a project? Is it part of a portfolio? Is it part of a program? Where would you start with all of this?
Ultimately, benefits management is seen, one of the principles of benefits management is to do it at a portfolio level.
Okay.
So as the portfolio is the investments of the organization, you don't want to spend limited and scarce resources. I'm going to spend $1 million, but I'm only going to get $500,000 return.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So we want to divvy up the money in the portfolio to run the right programs, right projects that are going to bring that money back into us. Now, some organizations are so immature with their processes and their managing benefits ability that it's probably best to start ad hoc, project by project, so people can see the value in actually properly managing those benefits. And then more and more people see it's relative, it does what it says it's going to do, it gives a value to organization, then you can spread that practice across the whole portfolio.
Okay, so you start at a strategic level, which is essentially what portfolio level is, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
So what's the next step then would be to break it down to more tactical level?
Yeah, so putting a framework into place, it's what we call a benefits management framework, similar to any other project or program methodology. The rules behind how we categorize and how we manage benefits as an organization. Now, once you have these documents in place, it allows, and a bit of training for all the project program managers, it allows everybody to understand what are the benefits and how do we seek them out. It's also, Manjit, about having the right roles. So I believe you've done a episode on change management.
Yes, I have. And that was last week's episode. So
yeah, it was really, really good. And one of the key things with organizations is they still don't all understand the importance of that change manager. The person who manages those benefits is usually that change manager, because there is a nice little formula that says project, no change, no benefits.
Yeah.
So It's about having those enablers into place. So
Mm.
start off with an idea. What is it we want to do? We want to manage the benefits more effectively. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure the appropriate people go through the right training. Make
Mm.
sure that we put the frameworks in place to enable people to be able to manage the benefits and understand what they are and what they're seeking.
So with putting the people through the training, would I be right then in saying that we need to make sure not just that they've had the right training, they've got the right skills and competencies?
Yes, definitely.
So
Definitely.
what sort of skills and competencies are we actually looking for?
We are looking for similar to change managers and project managers.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you change managers do a lot of the benefits management as long as they have an understanding of benefits management.
Yeah.
So this would be what are benefits, how to be able to put value or money on benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and where there isn't money, how to put what we call proxy indicators or things into place to say we can measure this.
Yeah.
So it's the ability to actually put measures into place to be able to effectively measure and also to optimize those measurements.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sounds like there's a lot of work that goes in at that tactical level. It's not just a matter of, oh, here it's come from strategic, it's come down to tactical, let's just get on with it.
No, there's a lot of work to be done. So say me and you were running a project and we were putting a new system into place, and our company has 5 of the same systems that do pretty much the same thing. Problem is they're not integrated. So we've got a chair turn, enter data on one, enter data on another. Everybody hates the systems. It's causing a nightmare. And we decide, or somebody decides, we're going to put in new systems.
Yeah.
So we're going to streamline everything, make it nice and simple. And the benefits would be looking at staff motivation. So staff motivation is an easy one. Are staff happier with the new systems? And then a proxy indicator is, because sometimes it's difficult to measure something directly, having a sub or a proxy into place to measure. So if we knew staff were happier to work at the company, one of the things you can measure would be turnover. Turnover, and then how much that turnover reduces our cost for recruitment. So these are the typical benefits we would look at. And then also, if we consolidate all these systems and all these support licenses, how much money are we going to save on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually really important with the, making sure that whatever we're doing is bringing value and benefits within the organization. Correct. And also to its customer base as well, because it's not just about your organization. Whatever you're doing, it's got to be there to help your customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100% agreed. We've ran into a problem with a very large percentage of organizations where, so there's a couple research papers have gone out, and they've looked at people's solutions and systems. Not only do we put duplicative and triplicative functions, but 65% of a stuff we throw in a system, we never use. And about 35% is stuff that is or sometimes used. Yeah. So you look at that, and that would be like you going off and, telling your partner, hey, I spent £1,000 to buy all this stuff. And they just kind of
be happy.
But he goes, you do realize that £350 is the stuff we need. 650 you've just basically flushed down the toilet. Yeah, we've got it in the future though, right? And it sits in the garage until you bin it off. It's the same idea. Yeah. So, your partner would probably look at you and go, right, you spend $1,000. How much am I going to get back?
Exactly. Yeah.
Same thing with organizations. Why do we not? I guess a good question is, why do we not translate what we normally do in day-to-day life to business?
I think from a service management perspective and governance perspective, which is where I mainly come from, as well as like all the, the improvement stuff and the lean and the business analysis stuff that I do, there's that, it's, well, this is real life, this is home life, but that's work. That's like something over there. It's somebody else's job to take care of that. And actually the two meld really well together, because whatever happens at work, it's all process driven. And then as soon as we get to the home life, it's like we don't start thinking, we forget processes and we just do what we need to do. But actually we're following processes. And anything you're purchasing, a car, a house, you know, some sort of appliance, furniture, whatever it is, you're looking at you should be, and I'm sure a lot of us do, we look at the benefits that it's actually going to give us. You're not going to buy a sofa that is going to go completely flat. The cushions are going to go flat within 6 months because you will have wasted all of that money. So it's looking at it from that perspective and turning it around. But how do we actually do that from a business perspective? How do we get the business, the individuals, when I say business, I mean the whole of the organization, start looking at it from the same perspective? So what are your suggestions on that?
So again, principles of benefits management is about, one of the topics we talk about is booking the benefits. So just like project management, general business issues that we have in organizations, it's really hard to nail down accountabilities and responsibilities. It's very difficult. So why not make somebody accountable for the benefits that we're going to seek? So for example, if you are the business owner of an area of the business, I would also make you the benefits owner. Well, you said you're going to have $250K worth of savings in your business area. Guess what I'm taking from your budget?
Yeah, same amount.
Now, I'm going to take $250K. Now, I'm not telling you that I'm taking any more. So if you save more money, so you save $350 because you optimize that benefit, happy days. You got an extra $100K in the kitty to spend however you want. Also, so these are performance and also HR driven. If we say we're going to have a 15% increase in productivity, people's targets are going to go up by 15% because that's what we said.
Yeah.
So it's about holding people and the business to account, which we don't do. A lot of times, again, we just say, yeah, we're going to get some benefits. Great. End of the project. We don't really do a post-project review because we know we didn't get what we said we're going to get in the first place.
Yeah.
If you hold people to account throughout the whole process, then you're going to get what you said you're going to get.
So what about at an operational level then? We've looked at strategic and tactical. What about operational, where I always say the magic happens?
This filters through all areas of alignment, just like your standard PPM. So whatever needs to be done strategically, that filters down by your operational, your tactical levels. So if we're running programs adhere to the portfolio rules for managing benefits. Each project will, so the program itself will have a benefits realization plan. Each project underneath that will have its own set of benefits. So everything's nice and in alignment. So it filters straight up, down, down, up.
Okay. Now that's easily said. And I know what the answer to this is going to be. What do you think is key from top down and bottom up to make sure this happens?
So top down, the actual support, the actual understanding of what managing benefits is, and the realization that actually, if we do this as an organization, it can impact the bottom line. So your CapEx and et cetera. So that needs to be filtered from top down. These people up here need to be seen as leading it, supporting it.
Yeah.
From bottom up, they need to have the tools, the right understanding, the right training, the ability. So if these guys are saying, let's do, these guys down here can do. And making sure that they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, as we call it.
So it's about having the right leadership in place, essentially.
Correct.
The leadership that can communicate effectively.
Correct.
So communication is a big, big part of this, yeah?
And also not just throwing people on training programs to say, hey, managing benefits sounds good, go off and do it.
Yeah.
But somebody, whether it's I tend to like non-executive directors because they're usually not part of the organization. And you can get a lot of support from them because they have seen this working. So somebody like that saying, right, Manji, you're going to go off and you're going to learn managing benefits. When you come back, I I want you to tell me everything you learned, and I'm going to support you, and let's get this rolled out through the organization, rather than you go off and train, and when you come back, do a bit of benefit stuff.
Yeah. So the course itself then, what's the structure for the course?
So it's a 5-day course with a foundation, 2 days, practitioner, 3 days.
Okay, that's the reverse of a lot of the other courses that I've seen, like the Prince 2, the change management and so on. They're normally 3 days foundation and 2 days for the practitioner. So this is flipping on its head.
Yeah, because foundation is basic information. The practitioner is where you start going in depth with all the terminology, formulas, and all the different cognitive biases that people have, and the full process through and through. And so you have your 2 tests, foundation and then your practitioner. And it's all based off of the book by a guy named Stephen Jenner, Managing Benefits.
So the foundation then is the basics, and you have an exam. I'm assuming it's closed book because it's foundation.
Correct.
Yeah. How many questions is it, and what's your pass rate?
It's the typical 50 questions, 40 minutes, and 25 out of 50 to pass.
Okay, that's doable. That's virtually the same. Actually, COBIT's slightly different, but short time frame to get it all done in. So yeah. Yeah,
a lot of the tests have gone that way now. All your agile tests and everything.
Yeah.
And then practitioner is your 2.5 hour, 80 questions, 40 out of 80 to pass.
So the practitioner then, what is it that you get in that? I know you just touched on that a little bit. What is it that you get from the practitioner that you don't get from foundation?
It's that further practicing information, that detail. So not only would you understand what benefits are in the terminology, but you can actually go out and perform it, do it, create the products, create the templates you need.
How is this going to, sorry, go on, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was saying, and just that's the difference.
Okay, so how is having that certification, it's an internationally recognized certification, yes?
Correct.
Excellent. So once you have that certification, me as an individual, what is it going to do for me? And then what's it going to do for the organization?
So it should give you the competency to be able, as an individual, to be able to understand and go out and manage benefits for organization. There has been quite a few roles on things like Reeds and Indeed with this. Companies are now waking up slowly to realize that they need to do more. So there's been job titles, benefits manager, of course, but head of value optimization is another one, head of value, head of portfolio. So these job titles are now popping up with somebody with benefits management training and also knowledge or experience. So
there's a career path there then?
Correct. Okay. Correct, 100%. Yeah. And for organizations, again, a research study said that 20 to 40% of a company's global turnover is burnable because of their inefficiencies. So if you're a 1 billion pound company, that means up to 400 million of your turnover is inefficiently used or gotten. So even if you could save 10% of that, it's a massive, huge cash influx to the business.
Yeah, and I think from what you've explained, it's good that if somebody or a couple of people within the organization have been on this course, got the certifications, so when new stuff is there, we're thinking about new stuff, somebody has got a bird's eye view of it, looking down, can look across the whole of the organization, see what benefit is going to be at strategic, tactical, and operational level, not just either or. Correct. Yeah, so it's quite refreshing, I think, to have that set aside, because you'd think, okay, do you know what, you do project management, you kind of touch it, then you do change management, you touch it, then you do service management, touch it then, but to have a certification purely around that one subject, you can lend it to whatever you want to do within your own organization. And if you have children, benefits realization, business cases, all of this kind of stuff, you know, if they want stuff. Bring me the benefits, what benefits it's going to be to me as a parent, to you as a child, whatever it is, that kind of stuff. I'm going to do that when I have kids. So can I have 10 quid, Dad? And what do I get in return for that 10 quid? What did you do? Well, nothing. Well, there are some chores on the board. So you do those and you earn your 10 pounds. So. Which is where your roles and responsibility actually comes into, from what you were saying. You know, as we all know, it's got the RACI matrix: responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. It's so important to get those roles actually clear so that we don't have that crossover. Everybody knows exactly what their responsibility actually is.
Correct.
Yeah. So this for me has been quite an eye-opener in a lot of ways, because although I deal a lot with benefits realization, having the actual stamp to say, yeah, this is what I've focused on, and that's really important. It's a pure focus on benefits realization, not part of something, but on its own. Makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate you coming on again, and I know you're going to be on again. We're going to be talking about other things. So thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it. So thank you everybody for watching. And if you find this useful, or you think somebody else might actually find it helpful, remember to like, subscribe, and then more importantly, share. Share it with your community, with your organization, who you think, you know what, we could get something out of this. But remember to hit the bell icon so that as each episode comes on, you'll get the notification straight away. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.